Public university lecturers across the country will from Monday, September 18, abandon the lecture halls to protest what they describe as suppression of academic freedoms. UTAG says the imposition of an acting vice-chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, is against the university's acts and statutes and considered an attack on academic freedom. The university has been in the news recently following a legal battle between a resident of Winneba and the university management over the continued stay of the vice-chancellor in office. The court a month ago ordered that the vice-chancellor steps aside pending a final determination on the matter. But National UTAG President Dr. Harry Agbanu tells JoyNews they won't teach until the university reinstates the vice-chancellor.
Coming Monday, about 2,400 lecturers throughout the country in all the universities in Ghana are withdrawing only their teaching services. As you are aware, we do more than teaching.
But clearly for many students who are across the country, they know for a fact that it's the teaching service that it's very important to the students.
No, and that is a wrong perception. If that is what,
we
do so many things. Teaching is just a fraction of the things that we do. So we are not technically going on strike. We are just withdrawing teaching that we think that the atmosphere does not permit us to do as we need to do. We don't want to be mediocre in the performance of our duties. We want to perform our duties as professionals. And so if there is any situation that will prevent us from doing our work well, I think it's just professional to say, well, let's wait and see what happens.
Doc, you are just from a class. For your students, and next week they will not be seeing you in a classroom. Do you think it sits well with them to know that their lecturer is not in class because there's a court case somewhere miles away at Winneba, there's a disagreement, it's still before court, and UTAG is unhappy and they are saying that my lecturer should not come to class? Are you being fair to the students?
We are being fair to the students. Gentlemen, we are not happy ourselves. It's regrettable that we are where we are. We love the work we do, we love ourselves, we love our students, we love our institutions, we love our country.
In a related development, a group calling itself Concerned Lecturers at the University of Education, Winneba, has described as baseless and unnecessary calls by the University Teachers Association of Ghana for some top officials of the university to step aside. The group says it has no problem with the continued stay in office of the Vice-Chancellor and the Finance Officer of the university. Leader of the group, Dr. Isaac Bracco, tells JoyNews' Daniel Dante, UTAG appears to have gone overboard with the issue, adding it seems to be crying more than the bereaved.
Action is a botched action. Nobody is going to go on strike. And the National UTAG, if there's a problem in Winneba, why don't you come to us and discuss with us? But you sit in Legon and decide for us. If you have respect for us, if you have modicum of respect for us, you should come over and discuss. Which is money from somebody's belly. The university has been fined a couple of times by the court for filing appeals wrongly. The case is still in court. Until the final determination of the case, I don't think the appeal is very important.
I feel once students are here, they must be taught because they've paid for their fees.
But this is the case where your mother body, UTAG, has declared that there should be a strike. What do you think?
I don't have anything against it by their declaration, but you cannot teach my course for me. I'll have to teach my course. And I'm here and I'm teaching my course.
Some of your colleagues have defied, well, are following what UTAG is saying. What do you think about that?
They are adults. They are adults. And they have the reasoning faculty. So what their minds tell them is what they are doing. In an adult institution, it's difficult to talk about others. You do what you want to do and leave others to decide on what they want to do.
JoyNews also spoke with some students who say they are worried about the impact of the strike since school just reopened.
I'm very worried about what is going on, because from what I've seen, I can see there is disunity among the lecturers. Because on Monday, I went for lectures at 10:30 to 1:30, and what the lecturer said was, there is no strike on campus. All that you've heard are all fallacies, and that there is lectures going on. So we are taking attendance seriously. So when you miss even a lecture, it will be recorded against you. And on Tuesday, I went for another lecture, and the lecturer was saying that, we are on strike, and I'm just introducing the course to you, and per what is going on, it might be that we might not meet for the next lecture. So I think there's this unity among the lecturers, and we are all hoping that they should settle everything so that they will start lecturing.
First year students, I mean, hearing about this strike action, it really has an emotional impact on me, because I came here to study, and I'm hearing that lectures are on strike. But me personally, most of my lectures will attend to lecturers, even today.
Have you had a single lecturer who has said that I am on strike and I won't come to class?
No. Me per se, for my course, I'm in the Department of Special Education. Okay. Lecturers do attend to lectures, the lecturers.
Okay.
So
but are you afraid that the situation would change from what you're hearing in the press?
From what I'm hearing right now, I'm a little worried. Very worried. Not a little, very worried. But we all hope for the best.
Well, we have a few other education issues to deal with, such as the Ghana Education Service Council meeting over a number of challenges that have dogged the implementation of the free SHS policy in the last few days. We'll be bringing you that news conference in a bit. But staying with education, named among the Ghana Education Service's top 5 deprived schools in the Greater Accra region, the Mamprobi Soko Primary and Kindergarten School lacks basic infrastructure and amenities. The school, which has over a decade provided basic education to residents, has been turned into a refuse dump, compelling the authorities to reduce contact hours between teachers and students or pupils, and instead use the time to clear filth lodged in and outside the classrooms. The school's headmistress, Vincentia Selassie Banini, says several calls on the municipal authorities to help address the problem have proved futile. Nancy Emefajiradosi has more on this report.
After relocating from Lashibi in 1973, Mamprobi Primary and Kindergarten schools have for 14 years provided basic education to residents of Mamprobi. However, the school lacks a library and a computer lab. Chaplaincy Prefect Jifa Avemega could not hold on to her frustrations any longer.
When it rains, students don't have any place to sit, and most of them, we don't have textbooks to learn with. So 3 people, 4 people use one textbook, and actually we don't have ICT lab, so one PC for about 10 people use one PC. That does not help our ICT learning at all.
This gate, which serves as a main entrance to the Mamprobi cluster of schools, have been replaced several times after unknown individuals breaking often to use the school as bedrooms at night. Circuit Supervisor Madame Mercy Kusiapia says the school is tired of buying padlocks.
With the millennium building, you come and find people sleeping on the verandas with their mosquito nets. You see, but sometimes they have to break into the classrooms, defecate. They will sleep there and then defecate into the classroom in the teachers' drawers, on chairs and other stuff, which gives the children much work to do the following day, especially during the weekend. Monday when they come, they have to spend a lot of time sweeping, cleaning, and then to get the garbage sent to places. You put a padlock, the following day you come and the padlock is spoiled. So we just have to leave it. Otherwise, we'll keep on buying padlocks all the time, and then there is no money to do that.
So not only are these classrooms converted as bedrooms for members of Mamprobi, they have created their own path through the school.
This school has been used as a passage for the community. At a time, about 2 years ago, we tried fixing a block to block one of the gates over there. To our surprise, the money that went into it, after 3 days, it was pulled down by the community. In fact, it's a very big challenge.
As if these are not enough, the community have turned the school into a dumping site.
And some carry their whole bunch of rubbish and come and dump it inside the school. They cross the gutters and then come and put dirty water in front of the school. A pregnant teacher nearly collapsed because of the stench that was coming from behind the wall.
Nancy MF filed that report. Still ahead in the bulletin, 12 labor unions demand immediate transfer of their Tier 2 pension contributions from the Bank of Ghana to their respective schemes, failing which they will embark on a strike. And the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital has cut back on the provision of some vital services due to a shortfall in staff. Do stay tuned, we're taking a break. We'll be back with those stories and more. Welcome back to JoyNews Prime. Now, the Council of the Ghana Education Service has been meeting over a number of challenges that have dogged implementation of the free SHS policy in the last few days. Key amongst the problems that have come up has been the inability of some schools to absorb all the students allocated to them and the placement of boarders in schools without boarding facilities. The meeting has also been interrogating headmasters said to be demanding unapproved fees from first-year students. And as Menu joins me live from a news conference called at the end of this meeting. Apparently, the news conference has just ended. Hello, Ernest. What has been the outcome of the meeting?
All right, so the news conference, Israel, was addressed by the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Opoku Amankwa. Now, he indicated that 84% of those who qualify and expected to be placed have done so, and so they're just left with just a little number to deal with, and those issues are being dealt with as the day progresses. However, you know, there were claims of extortion among some of senior high schools where heads have received monies that have not been approved by the Ghana Education Service. Now, 19 of those complaints came to the GES. 11 of them have been investigated, out of which 2 have been relieved of their posts. And I'm talking about the Pentecost Senior High School and Darfur Senior High School. Heads of those schools have been relieved of their posts, I should say. But just a little clarification. For Darfur Senior High School, it is the assistant headmaster that has been relieved of his post, and the substantive head has been interdicted. And so that is what it is. We have 9 others who have also been interdicted, including the Kwenyako Senior High. We also have the Ekumfi Ameyao Senior High School. There's also Ahantaman Senior High School, and then there's La Presby. In fact, he did not attend upon the committee. He did not honor the invitation to answer questions on these claims of extortion. And so he's been interdicted, however, pending his meeting with the committee tomorrow. And the others are also being investigated. And so we can now hear from the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Opoku Amankwa, giving us details of these investigations.
As far back as 21st August, we had given out guidelines on the implementation of the free SHS. We had complaints that they have not received them, and last week when they met in Ho, we further gave them copies. So no one in there as a headmaster, headmistress has any good reason to say that he or she doesn't have the guidelines. For those who cared and they had issues with aspects of the guidelines, they consulted us and we have explained all the issues to them. Now, so to come back to the interactions that we had and the sanctions that a couple of them, about 6, 7 of them, immediately we've taken action. The others, we are still, for some of them, they've given evidence that we still need to check and cross-check. The headmistress of Kwenyaku Senior High School, the headmistress of Ahantaman Senior High School, Kwenyaku Senior High School is Mrs. Florence Pra. High School, Mrs. Mercy Okru. The headmistress of Akunfi Ameyao Senior High School, headmaster, Akunfi Ameyao Senior High School in Techiman, Mr. Julian Okun, is that the name? Yeah. The assistant headmaster of the headmaster of Akunfiameya Senior High School, that is in Techiman. Then the assistant headmaster of the same school, Jacob Bazon. And Mr. George Frimpong Kwating, also of the same school.
In other news, some Ghanaian importers are calling on government to, as a matter of urgency, reduce the huge import duties imposed on them at the ports. The killer levies, as they described them, have become an disincentive to businesses, making them want to fold up. The importers made this known at their first stakeholder meeting with the Ghana Revenue Authority here in Accra.
It's been 14 days since the paperless system was introduced. Government introduced a new system to speed up the process of clearing goods, reducing waiting time from 2 weeks to 4 hours, and ensure order at the port whilst blocking revenue loopholes. The paperless system, according to the importers, has been good so far, but they are burdened with huge import duty levies at the port. Here are some of them also lamenting over the 3% VAT charges at the port.
It is very difficult because if you put 35% on our duty, import duty or whatever, the biscuits, how are we going to sell them? Because it's too high. It will make the duties so high. Then in the market, when we bring the goods into the market, it will be so high for the consumers to buy. We want the government to reduce the values, especially the 35% that he put in on the biscuits is kind of too high. What are we doing? It's not helping us.
The higher the import duty, the higher the value, the higher the import duty, right? Right now, if you import anything, the government charges you 50% or more straight away. So assuming the goods is valued 40,000, you are supposed to pay 20,000 straight to the government without doing anything. The government will collect that money. So if you talk about VAT, it's value added tax, right? So if you have not added any value to your goods, why should you pay VAT at the port? So in the first place, it's wrong for the government even to take VAT at the port because you have to add value to the item before you can pay VAT.
The Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana also urged government to focus on how to make the paperless policy a robust one, devoid of all the current challenges.
We have to work within the clock to make sure that the system runs concurrently. And the integration between GCNet and West Blue, okay, because the major job is on West Blue, because if the Custom Technical Bureau Center is down, it affects GCNet. So GCNet can be running, but because Custom Technical Bureau Center, where they do the classification and violation, if that center is not working, I can tell you, GCNet can run 24 hours, you can't clear cargo at the port. And so most of the major challenges that we are seeing is come from the center, the Custom Technical Center, and that is where we have this ups and downs.
This is the first stakeholder engagement between wholesalers, importers and shop owners union and the Ghana Revenue Authority since the introduction of paperless clearance system.
Well, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofinti, has dismissed suggestions that there's been an increase in import duty levy since the introduction of the paperless system. In an interview with JoyNews, briefly after interacting with some importers in Accra, Mr. MT says his outfit is also working to boost the capacity of compliance officers in order to make the system more efficient.
We have said that there have not been any tax duty changes. No rate change, no tariff changes have happened, except that the people have become more alert and trying to look at the database and let transactions reflect their true value. That is it. What I'm realizing is that the compliance officers in the stream of things should be increased. But that notwithstanding, we've seen increases in the daily performance of the people. Like on the Tuesday, they were able to do 592 processes that passed through. On the Wednesday, they had 776 processes going through. And yesterday, they had 872 processes going through. And when you compare the processes which have gone through now, within this learning phase, it's higher than it used to be.
Watching JoyNews Prime, we're taking a break to bring you business news, but we have some top stories yet to come. The 12 labor unions demanding the immediate transfer of their Tier 2 pension contributions from the Bank of Ghana to their respective schemes, failing which they will embark on a strike. Then Komfanochi Teaching Hospital has cut back on the provision of some vital services due to a shortfall in staff.
Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to Business. Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, has cautioned the minimum capital requirement of 400 million Ghana cedis for all banks could stifle the operations of specialized banks. He was speaking at the 2017 APP Forum organized by not-for-profit organization Invest in Africa.
The central bank earlier this week announced a new capital requirement of 400 million Ghana cedis from 120 million. Although Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, recognizes the move is aimed at protecting the banking space, he says separate arrangements must be made for specialized banks whose operations are critical to businesses.
The minimum capital requirements being raised by Bank of Ghana, I think the objective is clear. Is to make more funds available for business and for various projects in the country. So in principle, it's not a bad idea because it's been, we are encouraging the banks to come up with, certain minimum, capital to do serious big ticket business. That is fine. But I think that we shouldn't also close the doors to other specialized banks. Banks that would come in and say, I'm supporting SME business. That will come in and support special sector, business. And for those kind of banks, they don't need to be so big. Therefore, we may have to consider a window for such institutions to come in. The discussion clearly tells us that there are challenges that SMEs have access to bank finance or finance in general. Therefore, encourage and improve, SME access to finance. We need to have specialized banks, specialized institutions, and they don't need to be that big. They need to understand the business of the sector that they operate in and provide the kind of financial intervention that is needed.
Mr. Chuma Kwabwa spoke to Joy Business at this year's edition of the APP Forum, organized by not-for-profit organization Invest in Africa. The forum concentrated on helping SMEs explore avenues of raising capital to fund their businesses. Ibrahima Aminu is manager of the African Partner Pool.
SMEs contribute about 70% of employment in Ghana. And in order for the economy in general to grow, then SMEs have to grow. There is no two ways about it. So I think it's very important that SMEs have access to credit, cheap credit, and patient credit, that they can be able to pay back to ensure that they grow their businesses, employ more people, and at the end of the day pay more taxes that can then help the overall economy.
The APP Forum is an annual event which brings suppliers and buyers on the African Partner Pool together to discuss matters of common business interest.
The Insurance Commissioner, Justice Yaufori, is proposing a 100% increase in the minimum capital requirement for the insurance industry. He noted that currently, the industry does not have the capacity to take up insurance covers for many businesses in the country, a situation affecting the penetration level. There are plans by the regulator to increase the capital requirement from the current figure of 15 million Ghana cedis. Justice Ofori shared this view in an interview with Joy Business after a round-table discussion with the Minister of Finance at his office in Accra.
minimum capital requirement, that is 15 million cedis. Is this enough to absorb the business? There's a lot of business in Ghana, but because insurance companies don't have the capacity, it's going. My proposal of 100%, I mean, the government can look at it and probably decide to make it even bigger than 100%, maybe 50%, how do you call it? Maybe instead of 30 million, it could be 50 million, I cannot tell. But I think we should think of increasing capacity. The industry, we don't want to close down companies. We want to help them to stand on their feet, because you look at the effect of it, you know, employment, it creates unemployment. So our role is to help them to stand on their feet, and we're going to do what is right to keep them in business. If we don't do what is right, they'll be out of business. We should be looking at the informal sector. The informal sector is very big. We're talking of low-income people. And if we can provide them with micro-insurance, it means that penetration will be good. Agriculture is actually the largest source of employment for a lot of Ghanaians. So if we can actually provide agri-insurance, that would also help with the penetration rates.
And away from that, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF, has denied recent reports claiming its members are sabotaging the paperless port system introduced by the government. Some reports had indicated that freight forwarders declare lower values of imports in order to beat down duties on imports. Addressing a press conference in Tema, the Institute also debunked reports it had conceived means of generating invoices.
According to the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF, Kwabena Ofosu-Appiah, the said report sought to tarnish the image of the institute. GIF says different interpretations have been put to their demands to drum home real issues facing the paperless system. At a news conference in Tema, GIF urged implementers of the paperless policy to address their concerns.
If you look at the timelines of delivery that the Vice President announced, that in 6 months we are expecting to be able to do end-to-end processes in 4 hours, you know. So these are early days yet, and we are in full support of what is happening, but only that we want a very top-notch communication center, we call it a call center, to be established, to be actually manned by a very senior officer. It should be a unit on its own, manned by an assistant commissioner, who can take end-to-end questions from our people and escalate it. If he has not got ready answers, he knows where to go for the answer, and give timelines for our folks to expect the solution. We think if these things are in place, it will reduce people's anxiety.
Meanwhile, Mr. Ofosu-Appiah indicated that some inputs they made earlier are being considered by customs.
We have been having very, very positive responses from the Commissioner of Customs. He's been good, you know. He has his ears on the ground. Even some of the challenges that we have come up with, we have been discussing it. And truth be told, he has started even implementing some. Just yesterday night, he told me a few things that are going to roll out to ease the burden of us. And I think that when we go forward this way, we will be out of the woods in no time. Yeah. In terms of cost, once you pay your duty and you are not able to effect your compliance, I mean, very bad situations, which has run for close to a week now, but trust you me, I have just had certain responses trickling in on my phone. But these are the exact things that we don't want. We want our people to be able to access a solution center and get solutions themselves. This is an association of peers. We are just in leadership position because our folks have put us there. That doesn't mean that we have to be isolated for treatment, or we will have to take issues from our members and escalate it. We don't want this kind of chain to be established. There should be a solution center that everyone can access and have solutions.
The paperless port operations, which came into effect on the 1st of September this year, has been plagued with several challenges.
My government is to set up a special fund next year, mainly to support activities of small and medium-scale enterprises. Details of the fund will be announced in the 2018 budget, which will be presented by the Finance Minister in November. Minister for Private Sector Development, Mohammed Awal, also tells Joy Business the fund would help train about 3,000 entrepreneurs annually.
We've identified entrepreneurship as a key component of creating jobs for young people. The government is therefore investing this amount of 100 million over the next 4 years under what we call the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan. The plan is to make sure that we train young people, startups, train them in various sectors of the economy, and then resource them with money so that they can start business at very, very cheap interest rates. The essence is to provide cheap capital and skills to enable young people to grow. Unemployment is one of the key challenges we have in this country. And we think that this one vehicle of this unemployment by making the young people entrepreneurs so that they are not just job seekers, but business owners. And we intend to do that across the country with a lot of focus on women, girls.
So with the 2018 budget being currently, brought together by the Finance Ministry, what particular package is there for, young?
Already we have $10 million this year, which we are spending. So it's a rolling program.
That's all in business for now. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Good evening.
The Tepa Nursing and Midwifery Training College in the Ashanti region risks closure after its accountant absconded with 150,000 cedis meant for the payment of an overdue electricity bill. Live News checks indicates continuing students have had to endure pitch darkness at night because the Electricity Company of Ghana has cut power to the school due to the indebtedness. Reporting date for fresh students has also been postponed from September 12 to 26 because the school has no logistics or money to run it. The Lava firm's Erastus Asaridonko has been part of a team of reporters investigating alleged riots at the school.
Investigations conducted about 5 months ago revealed alleged financial malfeasance and shady deals, draining the coffers of the Tepa Nursing and Midwifery Training School of millions of Ghana cedis. Documents cited point to charging of unapproved fees, issuance of fake receipts, and overdrawn fuel grants. Months after media expose on the perceived rot there, the school's accountant, Richard Asamoah, the only signatory to the school's account, has abandoned ship, whilst the principal, Victoria Amoah, continues in her position. Activities at the school are grinding to a close, with no funds to purchase logistics and needed materials. There is power in the Tepa township, but it's pitch dark in the two campuses of the Tepa Nursing and Midwifery Training School. Power has been cut for a week now because the institution owes 150,000 Ghana cedis in electricity bills. Some students have gone home. Those who remain live exposed to the darkness in a bushy environment.
We were expecting that at least the principal will be made to step aside.
Public interest advocate Dr. Ernest Kwako is disappointed at the seeming lack of interest by government.
My expectation and how things have panned out and fallen short of my expectation, I thought the principal would have been made to step aside while investigations concluded and whatever the ministry itself did in terms of the investigation by the deputy minister, at least we'll be told or some kind of result would have shown.
Do you believe that she's been shielded somehow?
Well, you see, we have made investigations. We think that some of the evidence is incriminating enough. We allowed or we supported appropriate authority to investigate who have the teeth to bite and to institute any action. We have sat back watching, and I think that is falling below our expectation. The least is that she should have been made to step aside so that the investigations are done unhindered. As of now, she has access to the school. Whatever is going on, she can even conceal further evidence if there is a need. And I think that that's what surprised me about the ministry. That if you think that what we have said warrants enough investigation, you've done investigation, at least let us know your report and say that when investigated there was nothing.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Love FM, Kumasi.
We're hoping to get Erastus on the line to give us an update. We're told to this story. The school bus, which is used as a shuttle for student nurses, Erastus tells us, has been grounded. And then the school has also owns a fuel station, 30,000 Ghana cedis. Now, this is a school that certainly finds itself in a very precarious situation. Government has set up an inter-ministerial committee to check the activities of unregulated and illegal fishing said to be depleting the fish stock in the country's waters. President Akufo-Addo, who announced this Thursday, said government is discussing plans to acquire a fishing research vessel to monitor and address illegal fishing. Speaking at Tema to welcome a fishing vessel, Dr. Fridtjof Nansen, which is equipped to undertake a study of the ecosystem and fishing research, the president said the country risks being fish deficient if illegal fishing is not checked.
Although population growth can be said to be a contributory factor, the twin evils of illegal fishing and the overexploitation of our marine resources have worsened an already dire situation. This cannot continue to happen, as it threatens the very essence of our existence. It is for this reason the government has put in place a fisheries management plan to ensure the long-term conservation of our waters and the marine stocks in them. The key objectives of this plan include the reduction of excessive pressure on marine stock, effective legislation, strengthening participatory decision-making, and meeting regional and international obligations. Government intends to acquire its own research vessel, not of the size of the Fridtjof Nansen, though, to help in the monitoring of our fish stocks. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, has been in close collaboration with various partners, including the Norwegian Institute of Marine Research and the Nansen Program, to implement projects aimed at contributing to the improvement of fisheries management through the ecosystem approach. These projects have been useful, resulting in changes in water masses and fish behavior. We may have little or no control over climate fluctuations or changes, but one thing we can have control over is our day-to-day activities. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing methods are depleting our fish stocks. Our beautiful coastal wetlands are threatened by high volumes of plastic and metal waste that choke breeding habits for fish. This must not be allowed to continue. To this end, an interministerial approach to curb this menace is on the pipeline.
When patients in critical condition are transferred to the nation's premier health facility, the Korle Teaching Hospital, they expect to get the best medical care possible. But that is often not the case. Indeed, horrible stories have been told of critically ill patients who have been turned away in some instances because there are no beds at the hospital. The recently appointed Chief Executive, Dr. Felix Anya, concedes Korle has several challenges, but explains there are simple solutions. He tells JoyNews' Adelaide Arthur that the lack of bed excuse, for instance, can be easily solved if the various departments are properly coordinated.
As a premier health center serving the southern part of Ghana, the Korle Teaching Hospital is expected to deliver excellent healthcare services. But over the years, the facility has faced several challenges, preventing it from effectively executing its mandate. One most recent challenge was the breakdown of the hospital's oxygen plant. That problem has, however, been solved.
At the moment, we have 2 of the oxygen plants working, and the other 2 will also come on board very soon. Since June, when those two oxygen plants were restored, we've never purchased a single cylinder of oxygen from a private supplier. We are relying on what we be producing here, both in cylinders and through the main pipelines to the various departments and wards. So I can say that yes, we are producing what we need in the hospital at the moment.
The central lab, which was not providing services for some critical cases, such as cancer-related diseases, is now testing tumor markers.
There were no reagents. Those who are having tumor markers, like cancers and others, early detection system was not there. We're running okay, but we were not handling the critical part of the patient demand for surgery, for first-line assessment before you give drugs. And nobody can give you a drug when the person doesn't understand how your renal function or your kidneys can handle the drugs and be able to excrete them well. But as I sit now in front of you, I'm presenting another picture to you. Every single test that has to be done, that is marked here, the reagents have come. Equipments have been restored.
This, hospital staff say, forms part of efforts to deliver the best of services to clients. One issue, though, that is yet to be addressed is how critically ill patients are treated when they are brought to the facility. The problem of Korle turning away patients for lack of beds, Dr. Anya reckons, is an issue of lack of cohesion among departments and not necessarily the lack of beds.
We quickly have to have a hospital management information system, which enables us, when the emergency room is full, to be able to keep people at any other empty bed in the hospital and have an emergency team attend to the person there. You know, this is the modern approach to emergency care. At any given time, quote unquote, there will be about 40% of beds not used. And why should people be sent away when we can have people go onto these beds and then they are used? If we have the system there, people who are coming there, when you're coming, send the person to medical, second floor, this bed. So the person goes there, emergency team goes there, whether it's surgical or medical or orthopedic, they take care. And then they handle the person. The person is stabilized. So we don't have people being taken away. That's the present when the people come. It's full. Go. And they don't tell you if you go, where do you go?
Dr. Anya is also advocating the removal of the 34% internally generated fund capping by government to enable hospitals pay debts owed suppliers.
We've had representation on this issue twice to the highest place, and we think that we should quickly get it off the hospitals, because hospitals' IGF are not hospital money. They are revolving fund involving other people's suppliers' money. And the 34% will eat into your capital and the money for other people. So within the context of we owing that much, I think the IGF capping should quickly be seen not to apply to hospitals, not to Korle alone, to every hospital.
An advocate of health tourism, Dr. Felix Anya says the hospital has some of the best personnel and equipment to handle some of the most complicated medical conditions. His plans for Korle are lofty, but will first have to be approved by the board, which is currently not in place. When the board will be constituted remains unknown.
The Film Producers Association of Ghana, FIPAC, is impressing on government through their Asantehene to save the dying Ghana movie industry. The group is worried about the influx of telenovelas on national TV stations, which, according to them, is affecting the progress of the local movie industry. Live Films Prince appears to report.
The association, together with other stakeholders, walked through some principal streets of Kumasi in what they call Yajiyadia Peace March and petitioned the Asantehene. The actors and film producers expressed worry about the influx of telenovelas on national TV stations. According to them, the situation is affecting the progress of the local movie industry as well as destroying the cultural values of the Ghanaian society. Bantamahene Bafo Uswa Mankwetia III received the petition on behalf of Asantehene. Abe Kusegu is the secretary of Audiovisual Rights Society of Ghana.
We do apologize for the loss in audio on the story there.